Okay.
It's more of a confusion that I wanted your feedback on, because it's around expectations and boundaries. And this was the expectations thing has arisen after watching a YouTube that Penilla put out, which was that if you have expectations, basically you're a victim. You're going to be a victim. And so I'm just mindful of, looking at my expectations, the unconscious expectations that I have around things. And one of them arose in relation to a tradesman meant to be coming to fix something for me who never showed. And I noticed the anger arising, and I thought, oh, okay, there you go, expectation. And I just let that dissipate. And then I rebooked with him, and he was meant to arrive at a certain time and then did not. And then finally arrived, well past his due date, and no apology or anything else. And I get conflicted because I didn't say anything to him, even though there was an anger and annoyance that had arisen. I didn't say anything to him, but then I felt like I was gaslighting myself for not having said something to him. And he was like, oh, hi, all bright and breezy, and how's your day going and everything else. And I just thought, wow, mate, no apology, no nothing, but I didn't say anything. So am I gaslighting myself, Vince? Or, would you say something without it being charged? That's where I feel like I'm in this I don't know what to say thing zone.
Yeah, I get it. How did you feel a bit towards yourself for not saying anything? When you said, are you gaslighting yourself? What were the emotions involved directed at yourself over that?
I felt gutless.
Right. So you had a judgment about yourself.
Yeah.
Negative judgment. Yeah.
Judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know the fable about the frog and the scorpion? Have you heard that?
No. Well, may have, but tell me again.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. The frog's sitting on the edge of the pond, and the scorpion comes along and says, will you put me on your back and carry me across the other side of the pond? And the frog says, no, you'll sting me and we'll both drown, And the scorpion says, no, I won't. And the frog says, all right, jump on. So the scorpion jumps on, and halfway across the pond, the scorpion stings him and they both drown. What that says to me is people's characters, people's personality, it doesn't change. If we have expectations that their character is going to change, then we've got a problem. The problem isn't theirs, that's their character. That's always the way they're going to be. We've got a problem because of our expectations. Our expectations that something can be different to what it is. So see, it's hard to say this without it apparently implying other things. So when that tradesman didn't turn up for you the first time and you got no apology from him.
Oh, well, sorry, I did get an apology the first time round, because I rang him and just said, no show, where were you? And he said, oh, so sorry, forgot. Okay, so So
Right.
sorry for, and then next appointment.
Yeah. So by the second time you're going, oh, this is his nature, isn't it?
Yeah, like really doesn't.
Yeah, you're not going to expect him to be a reliable person.
Yeah,
But there's a bit of conflict because you want the job done, don't you? So when he does turn up late, you'll put up with that because you want the job done.
that's right.
Um, the yeah, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or what here. That's a bad way to put it, but one of the things that I just wish I could give a gift to everybody, and that is what is what is what is. There's no, whatever happens, whatever arises, it's just what is. It's adding stories to that where the problems are, adding stories that he should have been different, adding stories that you should respond differently. That's where the suffering happens. That's the second dart kind of thing. So essentially, if let's have the fantasy that he didn't turn up, you go, oh well, that's just what happened. So you ring him up and set it up again, and he doesn't turn up, and you go, oh well, that's just what happened. And then he turns up late with no apology, and you go, oh well, this is just what's happening. And there's no addition to it. There's no extra story. There's no thing about it, how it should have been different, how you should react differently. It is just the way it is, 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 and that's it. So it's not a matter of right and wrong. There's no right or wrong. There's not even any good or bad. It just is the way it is, the way it is, the way it is.
But can I not have boundaries, Vince?
Well, what are boundaries? Are they, when you say boundaries, are you saying there's a limit to what you'll tolerate?
Well, if I give him some feedback and it's not charged, then that's kind of what I was thinking of, was saying,
Yeah, sure. So,
you're 2 hours late. I would have appreciated for you to be on time because I had another appointment to go to.
sure, yep. So if let's extend this fantasy a little bit. If you if you have the attitude that, well, it happened, you'll also have the attitude that if it comes out of your mouth that I would have appreciated you coming earlier, or I would have appreciated you letting me know, or you're a fucking idiot, or whatever comes out of your mouth, that it's also just what it is, what it is, what it is. And if it doesn't, that's also just what it is, what it is, what it is. You see, it doesn't matter what arises. Anything, good, bad, what doesn't arise is the same as what does arise. It's just what it is, what it is, what it is. And you don't berate the wind when it blows, or the sun when it shines, or the darkness when it turns up. They are just what it is, and you have no trouble accepting them. And what's the difference? What comes out of your mouth, what he does, what he doesn't do, what doesn't come out of your mouth, absolutely no different. It's just the same as the breeze blowing. And if it's not the same as the breeze blowing, that's also the same as the breeze blowing. whatever happens is whatever happens is whatever happens. And it's not like we've got control over it. So for you to think that I was gaslighting myself, or I should have said something to him, or he should be different, that's just also, that's where the suffering comes from. But if you see that happening, because that's maybe the part of the conditioning that's happened for you, that it comes up that you feel bad towards yourself because you didn't say something, that's also just what it is. Can you get a feel for what I'm saying? Just that feeling of oh, wow, just flow. Yeah. There's no
Yeah,
wrong.
I can. There's some resistance here still.
Yeah.
I
But
think
don't resist the resistance then.
yeah.
That's also just what it is. It arises. And that's a good one, because you can say, there's some resistance here and I'm resisting that. And then you can go, well, allow that resistance to happen. And then you go, oh, but it's wrong. I don't want to resist. So, oh, I'm resisting the resistance here. So you go, well, allow that resistance to happen. And then you go, oh, but that's really hard to do. I don't want to resist. I don't want to resist the resistance either. So then you go, oh, wow, I'm resisting the resistance about resisting the resistance. And you get to a point where, just like now, you start to smile because you go, this is a bit ludicrous, isn't it? How far back am I going to go? How much resisting the resistance is going to happen before I realise that it's all a bit of a joke? And when you smile about the fact that you're resisting the resistance of the resistance, or the resistance of the resistance of the resistance, whenever you get to the point of smiling, you're not resisting anymore. You're just going, wow, that's just what happened. It's a bit of a joke. There's humour in it. Yeah. So if resistance turns up, fine. And if you resist that resistance, that's also fine. Whatever turns up is fine. There is nothing that's not fine.
Vince, I'm gonna just say that I'm not exactly convinced that Pernilla would agree with you on this one.
Well, she may not. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, I've just listened to her, and she certainly has said things like, that it's okay to want people to respect your time.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Now, look, there's two different things happening here. One, with I rather imagine that what Pernilla is about is what's behind what goes on. Right. Whereas I'm not looking at that at the moment. What I'm not saying to you, let's see what's the toxic starting point for your gaslighting or for your behavior or your attitude towards yourself. I'm not looking at a cause of that per se. I'm looking at it's wrong to say I'm looking at a solution to it. I'm looking to put it into context. So I don't see a conflict with what Pernilla might say, in that there is that the reason that you feel bad towards yourself for not saying anything is because you've got these stories about yourself. So there is some identification going on there, and that's what she's pointing out. Whereas what I'm saying is that you can simply alter your perspective about those things, and as a result, things may change. If they don't change, if you can't pick on what I'm saying, if you can grok what I'm saying and you get a feeling for it that says, oh, okay, yeah, that's a way of looking at it. If that doesn't happen, or if it comes up again and again, then definitely go down Pernilla's road and look at what's behind it. But if I can offer you this gift and you can go, oh yeah, okay, that's an alternative way of looking at it. That makes sense to me. If that can happen, then you don't need to go down that particular road that Penilla is. So we're coming at it from different angles. That's what's really happening.
Mhm. But also, I mean, I've heard her suggest, Vince, that it's okay to say something. It's the charge that's around it that's really the pointer as to whether you're hooked or not.
Yeah, that's true. True, I agree with that. So if you say something to him about him being late with a certain charge, then what you're doing is you're diverting from your own feelings, your own uncomfortable sensations.
Yeah. But if I was to say to him, you know, something without charge,
Yeah. Now
that's
that's not to say that you what's the right word? You don't manipulate the charge. If there is no charge there, that's different to saying something as if there's no charge when there actually is charge. You know what I mean?
yeah. Because
If there's
yeah,
no charge, I mean, if I can say, well, it is what it is, what it is, what it is, and maybe I'm doing this bloke a favour if I say, listen, mate, if you keep turning up late, you're going to lose business. It's not smart, and I don't appreciate the fact that you turned up late because you mucked up my day. And you say that in a kind of fairly relaxed way, and you're not concerned about how he takes it. You're not concerned about how he might come back because he's probably going to defend himself, and he might defend himself by attacking you. Well, if he attacks you and you don't have a response to that, an emotional response, then there's probably no charge there anyway. You're not taking it personally and you're not giving it out from a personal kind of place. But it did sound to me like there was something there when you thought about it. And the fact that you stopped yourself from saying it because there was a bit of charge there. And then you got diverted away from that by saying, well, I'm a bit of a weakling for not saying it, kind of thing. That is also an escape from what's come up.
okay.
But what regardless of the angle that I come from or with this or what Penilla is coming from, it is what it is, what it is. So whatever comes up is okay. And how you look at what comes up is also okay. So you can look at it from a point of view of this is an opportunity for me to see what's behind it because it keeps coming up in a variety of ways. Or if it's just a bit of old conditioning, that's a remnant kind of thing, then maybe that's all it takes is for you to say, okay, I got a bit sucked into that and I didn't need to, you know, not to bypass it, not as a way of bypassing it, just as a way of recognise. See, remnants of stuff will come up even after we recognise that there's no self. We'll say something and we'll go, oh, wow, I identified there. Because you recognise it immediately that I did identify and you accept it. You don't have, there's no conflict about that. You just go, yeah, that was it. There it was. That's a bit of a habit that I didn't realise. It may be the first time that it's actually been triggered since seeing that the self was really an illusion. So it's not like you need to go back and make sure there's no self there again. You already know that, but this old habit just turned up. It can just be that could be all it is.
Yeah, I think it could be pointing to kind of a level of identification that has to do with respect.
I don't know about respect. Tell me about what do you see respect as?
Yeah, you know, like a story. It's an old storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? Yeah.
respecting other human beings.
Well, firstly, you've got to respect yourself, but w- w- that's
Yeah. I have a question because
yes. Jump in, please.
this this man didn't come to your appointment, and after he come late, correct? So without knowing him, you judge him that his behavior was wrong, right? So you know nothing about him. All you know is that he didn't come to your house. And so you judge him like this is not good. He's not a good human being, right?
Oh,
So were you
not so
respecting
bad.
him?
Yeah.
Were you respecting him, thinking about that and judging him that way? I think it's you have no idea what his life look like.
Yeah, so there are assumptions out there. The assumptions are that it was his casualness that was behind all of that. It may well be that he was at the funeral of his son, and that's why he didn't come. And that when he was leaving the funeral to come, his car broke down, and he didn't have enough money to get it fixed up. And it could be anything, couldn't it? Really, what this is about is you, not him. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to kind of point to you, like we just started asking about expectation and boundaries. My point of view is that you had expectation that he shouldn't arrive late. This is just your point of view, because maybe you make an effort in your life to arrive on point. So you think that others should put on themselves the pressure that you put on yourself to arrive on time. But if you don't put, if you in your life, you don't put pressure to arrive on at time in your appointment, you will maybe not bother if someone arrive late because it's normal. So it's just a reflection of your own mental pattern and behavior and what's respected for you and how people should be and everything. So all of this is expectation. And I don't see a problem with that. I think the biggest expectation is what I think Vince is what understood, that you shouldn't expect your your reaction to be some way or another. What's wrong in having emotion about someone not arriving? I think it's okay. Well, why not? And you can scream at someone and it's fine. If you don't expect that, you shouldn't. Why not? Well, you know.
I'd like to explore respect. When you said about respect, I get involved in the words too. It's respect, as in do it spect again, like as in inspect is to spect for the first time, and respect is to do it again. Spect, and spect is to look at something, I guess. That's just the word thing that comes to mind. But if we step back and look at what respect is, to my way of thinking, it's like a whole lot of those things. It's an abstract noun. It doesn't exist in reality. There is nothing you can bottle with respect. It's really, it's nothing. What exists is the opposite, disrespect. That exists. That's a something. So when you have respect for something, and this may be a stretch, but this is what comes to mind, that when you have respect for something, it's natural, it's normal, it's ordinary, and it's not a thing. So only the mind in retrospect will say, there's another one, only the mind in retrospect can say, I have respect for something. But in terms of our behavior and in terms of our experience, there's no such thing as respect. That's just the normal thing we have for each other. We do have a genuine interest and empathy and compassion. That's all of those things again are not a thing. They don't exist. But that's the description that we have in our normal way of life for things. And some people who have the opposite of those things, who have disrespect, who say they're narcissistic or whatever, they don't have empathy, they don't have compassion, those things, they got problems. And that's those things that are manifest as a result of their problems. They're how can I put it? They're acting out of trauma or out of imbalance, however you want to put it that way. But if we don't have that trauma, then the normal natural thing is that we do have respect for other people. So those who appear to not have respect, we need to respect the fact that there's a reason why they don't have respect. And it's not a reason that they have control over. But that's, in our culture, of course, we pretend that they do have control and that they're willfully being disrespectful. Well, Donald Trump can't help being Donald Trump. That's the way he is. That was his conditioning. And every variation of that, right up to anything but respect and honouring and appreciating the way people can be. So when I said before, if respect is an issue, it's probably because you have trouble with respecting yourself. So you have this story that you're not deserving of respect, or some variation of that. And I kind of feel that way with boundaries. I have trouble with this boundary thing too, because it feels like I don't have boundaries, but I also don't need boundaries. I don't. It's like boundaries to me are a protective thing, and the only reason that we need to protect something is because we imagine there's something that's going to hurt us. But at the same time, I can see at a practical level the value of behaving as if there are boundaries, but not necessarily having actual boundaries, but just behaving like, what I'll tolerate and what I won't tolerate.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that the boundaries to me definitely ties into the concept of respect with me.
Why?
Why?
Yeah. What is the connection between both of them?
Well, I'll give you a recent example, David. I made a new acquaintance and I was really excited about meeting someone who I thought was going to be a new friend, because I've moved towns and I am kind of in this mindset where I thought, I'm ready to reconnect with humanity some more. And so when I made this kind of acquaintance and I thought she would be nice to have as a friend, then when I was out walking, I popped into her place, but I didn't advise her I was coming over. And then some days later, I realized, listening to something on boundaries, that that wasn't actually respectful of her boundaries, me just rocking up to her place, thinking that it was okay. So I thought, okay, I really just need to clarify that. I'll offer her an apology and just say I won't pop in, you know, without an invitation first, either via text or some other means. And she was like, yeah, that'd be good. So that was a really recent example to me that she actually felt, it seemed that she felt like, yeah, it would have been nice if you had that boundary and you respected that. So I just thought, oh, there you go. Yeah, I just need to be more mindful of not only my boundaries, but other people's boundaries, because I think it does tie into respect.
Yeah, but I can see that it's true. Same for me. I mean, in the relationship, in every relationship, when you meet someone new, you have to find a common ground, right? I mean, this is boundary. You know, how near, when you speak to someone, how near do you get to the person? You know, and these kind of boundaries can shift. You know, with the same person in the same at the same meeting. You know, at the beginning you are far, so you speak more near, and after you get angry a little bit, so you feel more far away. So boundary, yeah, in relationship they exist subjective. It is subjective. It's very personal, and it's shifting all the time. So yeah, of course you kind of have the feeling. You check, you don't check. Sometimes you have different boundaries, like going to the home of people and just entering. In some countries good, some others not. So yeah, I understand that the boundary shift, and um, but now about respect, I mean, you are sensitive in the way that you want to respect to the boundaries. You want to listen to the other and respect those boundaries. But but his behavior of respecting the other is it's automatic in you. It's it's normal. You know, it feel normal, right? You just listen to the other and adapt your behavior to what the other wants. But I don't what is I don't but maybe someone else doesn't have he doesn't care, you know. He will do he will do what feel right for him, and he will keep what is correct for his system, the boundaries. But um I don't under you have a conflict with boundaries and respect, or because you begin with expectation, and we talk a little bit about that, and now we are in the boundary. So why did you bring this up
Sorry, I've got a bug on
another
me.
time?
I think because it's the boundary, the expectations, the boundaries and respect have been just issues that have come up for me recently, and they seem for me to be closely related. Yeah, and I appreciate, David, that you know boundaries are not fixed; they're flexible. So you know, as you say, you know, you can move closer together or get the sense that you need to kind of move back a bit or whatever. So they're not set in stone. But I think when I guess what I say to myself as part of my own conditioning, I say, I would like to respect someone else's boundaries in the way that I would like my own boundaries respected. That's kind of how I package it up in my own mind, you know, like it's respect for my boundaries in the same way that I respect someone else's.
Okay. So you are aware of your system of belief. This is a belief, right? A belief system.
Yeah.
You are aware of it, and what is the issue you are having?
Uh, the issue I'm having is that if I feel like my boundaries have not been respected, do I speak up, or do I just feel the anger or whatever is arising and let it dissipate? Or do I actually say something to the other about that in a non-charged way?
So what I understand, it's the issue is how do I respond when someone doesn't respect my boundaries? What feels right for me?
Yeah.
What is the correct way to answer?
Yeah. Do I just let it ride, which I call gaslighting myself, which I was just saying to Vince, or do I actually say something and let them know how it is for me? Because you see, what I found with this person who I thought was a friend, she didn't say anything, but when I brought it up, she was like, yeah, well, that would have been good if you'd contacted me. So she actually then shared after the fact that it wasn't convenient or appropriate for me to have just dropped in. But she didn't say that to me until I then, I offered an apology. So, I'm just kind of trying to.
It's very interesting because there is two stories, right, that you are talking about this man who is not showing up, and you are the one who say nothing. And the
Yeah.
other situation, it's there is a friend and you do something, and it's your friend who say nothing. So in the both stories, you are in both sides of the situation.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Boundaries kind of are up for me at the moment. As in that the issue of boundaries is up, and I'm just wanting to kind of look at it more closely
Don't-
with.
my sensation is not that the boundary. My sensation is not that the boundary is the issue. My sensation is you are wondering just what you say. What is the correct answer? Should I say something? Should I not say something? This is your words.
Right.
And you add, should I say something or should I say nothing? And if I say something, it should be without emotion. It should be without, I don't know the word you use, but yeah. I think
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing is it is thought that you should, if you answer, it should be without emotion. It's a little bit too much to ask for a human being in this world. This is um, my sensation. I mean, it's my belief because in a way, I feel like these questions, issue you're having about responding or not responding, it's that part of you want to know which one will provoke less trouble, right? If I speak with emotion, the other maybe will be triggered, and I will be triggered, and nothing. And if I don't say anything, well, I want to say something. I'm not happy about something. So the both choices seems bad, right? So which one is good? And when you approach a problem with which one is good or bad or worse, um, you are you're in trouble because it doesn't really matter. Because the issue is not really what will be your reaction, right? The issue is how you feel. How you feel when you say nothing and how you feel if you say something. For me, it doesn't matter if you speak it nicely or with emotion. It doesn't matter because what is below you will feel it either way. So you will lose nothing. But now what you are seeing, it's like your system like is pretty much like mine. Like I don't say much. I prefer don't say anything. But even if I say something, I will feel guilt, or I will feel, oh, maybe this wasn't good. So I will still have this layer below, you know? And I think if you stay at this level, it can allow you to be to choose whatever you want, and you know it's not really important that much.
I'd like to tell you a story that came to mind when you were talking, Eloise. It's this bloke. He's in the suburbs, and he's mowing his lawn, and he's finished mowing his lawn, and he's raking up the grass, and he's just got a bucket, and he's raking up the grass and putting it in his bucket, taking the bucket full of grass clippings down the back and putting it in a pile down the back. And he's raking it up and doing it. And by the time he's done about the 5th bucket full, he's thinking, God, this is going to take me all afternoon. And he looks over, and his next door neighbour's got a wheelbarrow sitting just near the fence, and it's empty. And his next door neighbour's not even there. And he thinks, I'll go and ask Fred if I can borrow his wheelbarrow. Then I'll get this job done really fast. And then he thinks, oh, he'll probably say no. So I won't ask him. So he keeps on taking it down by the bucketful. And every time he comes back for another bucket full of grass clippings, he goes, oh, I will ask him. I will go ask him. And but he'll tell me no. He won't lend it to me, you know. And then after he's just done 50 bucketfuls of grass down the back, he decides, yes, I will go and ask him. And he jumps over the fence and he knocks on Fred's front door, and Fred opens the door and he says, you can stick your fucking wheelbarrow right up your ass, Fred. This seems to me like a lot like what's going on for you. Right? You're writing a novel. You're writing this dramatic novel about things. Eloise, if you were in physical proximity to me, I would love to be your friend. I think you would be a good person to be a friend with. And I would say to you, I'll be straight with you if you're straight with me. I'd like you to be straight with me. And I would be happy for you to tell me, shut up, Vince, you're full of bullshit. I'd be happy for you to tell me that if I started ranting and raving about something or other, because I'd know exactly where I stood with you. And if I turned up at your door and you said to me, now is not a convenient time, or I'd rather you text me before you come, I'd honour that, right? But if you turned up at my door and it was an inconvenient time, I'd say to you, oh, look, I'm just busy at the moment. How about we do this later? Or what? I'll come and see you when I'm finished, or something like that. I'd want it to be a relaxed, open relationship. And I certainly wouldn't turn up at your door worrying about whether or not it was going to be inconvenient for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you. Yeah.
Authenticity. If you want a good friend, you're going to be, you know, a good friend, you can tell them to shut up and they don't take it personally. They understand that bugs you or whatever. I've got a good friend, and he's a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and he gets up on these soapboxes and he raves about things. And I say to him, you've already told me that. Don't tell me again. I don't want to hear it, or stop it. And he honours it. He stops. You know, it's a bit hard to do, but he does honour it when I say to him. You know, sometimes I let him go because I don't want to offend him, you know, so I don't want to say stop. But you know, he does it so much that, and the more I do it, the easier it gets to do. You know, it's a trick, isn't it?
Yeah,
what kind of a friend do you want? Do you want a friend that you worry all the time about whether or not you're crossing boundaries with them? Or do you want a friend that's nice and relaxed, that can say to you, Eloise, don't do this. It's, you know, I don't want to have to put my clothes on every time somebody knocks on the door or whatever.
Yeah. And I think I just had just kind of like a shame attack come up.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I felt we were cultivating an authentic relationship, and then I got that response and I had a shame attack.
Yeah. And also though, you may have misunderstood what she was saying. You know, it might have been not that I want you to text me every time. It might have been that just that particular time, it was a little bit inconvenient. Maybe.
No,
I don't
no,
know, you know,
no.
no?
She was
Or maybe
pulling
maybe
away.
she's
She was
saying
pulling.
to you, maybe she's saying to you, I don't want to be a close friend.
Yeah, I think that's how I read it anyway.
Yeah. It may be be that case. And so if it were me, just because I'm a bit of a weirdo, I would say to her, oh, so you don't want that kind of a friendship.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't, you know, yeah.
yeah.
And if she feels put on the spot, well, she probably would feel put on the spot if I was being that confrontive with her, but I'd know where I stood with her. See, interesting, you know, people have a set number of friends all the time, you know, and usually they don't, that another friend coming in disrupts the circle of friends. So they don't allow new friends to come in unless one drops out. If one drops out, then there's a space, you know. And when you look at all of those circle of friends, you'll find that everybody has a different role in that group. There's always a leader, and there's always a placater, and there's always a whatever, you know. So, you know, you breaking into coming into a new town and breaking into anybody's circle of friends could be a bit confronting for them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right, Vince. And I think one of the things that I thought was going to work was that she was quite new to the town too, and you know, she was kind of quirky and out of the box.
Right.
You know,
which would be an invitation for you to be that way too. So you could ask her, do you want to be a friend? What kind of a friendship do you want to have with me?
Yeah,
more
anyway.
formal or what, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but just to come right back, I mean, I think it's also just having the respect coming back here, I think. Just as in me, this one respecting this one.
Mm. I still don't know what that means. What do you mean by respecting you?
Oh, whatever comes up, it's okay.
Yes. So disrespect means some things are not okay, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then kind
You
of
have the right,
trying to get it right.
you have the right to answer to everyone the way you want. And that's fine. If you respond nice, it's fine. If you get angry and scream at people, it's fine too.
Mm.
And I think this is, you have to respect your own system and your emotional charge. And if the emotional charge impulse you, there's an impulse to act in some way, well, respect that, you know, allow it to happen.
Yeah. It occurs to me, we respect is a shitty word. Let's drop respect. Let's change it to honor. If we honor ourselves, if we honor other people, that might be a more appropriate way to look at it. I wonder. It might or might not. That's just what occurs here. Yeah. So don't respect.
I wouldn't say honor other people, because you have no idea what the other, you know, you just, I don't know what you think, but just honor yourself.
Yeah. Honor yourself. Or honor their humanity rather than the details of, you know, whatever. But yeah. But investigate it. It's just, it's good stuff. Be curious. Yeah. Be curious of how you see. It's those underlying things about how you feel about yourself, and we project those onto other people. That's so whatever we think we see in somebody else, when we point one finger out, there's three fingers pointing back at us. So whatever we think is going on for somebody else, let's see if it belongs to us first. That's always a good skill to have, technique. Yeah. But curiosity, be curious. It's interesting stuff. It's incredibly entertaining. Yeah.
I know I don't need friends. I just entertain myself, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
However,
To talk about
it did seem to drive home to me that this forum is, I don't know, it's just it made me value this forum and this Sangha more, because I couldn't talk to this person about any of this stuff, you know, and be what I felt was authentic in this
Yes.
with her. And then and I felt, you know what, it's just superficial shit, and I don't know whether I actually want to just keep doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's an interesting one, isn't it? That is an interesting one, because apart from this family here and these groups, you know, I'm in the same boat as you. You know, the people out there that I'm dealing with are pretty superficial. You know, they are,
Yeah.
but they're interesting. You know, that's okay. You know, it's like it's another story, but it's a very seductive story. Wouldn't it be great if the whole world was like this? If people didn't take things personally and we could say whatever we want, you know, and because that's what's going to happen here. That's what does happen here. You know, we say whatever comes out. It was interesting. The thought that I don't think about what I'm going to say. I just open my mouth and out it comes. And I can be really relaxed about that. I don't have any apology for what comes out. It's just because that's what comes out. That's what's there. Yeah. I also don't mind being wrong or saying inappropriate stuff. That happens too. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's useful is to forget also, you know, because for me, for example, I don't think about what I'm going to say, and I don't analyze what I had say. So it's like, it's really like there is something coming up and just it's fast, and after there is no retrospective analysis of whatever was saying, you know.
I don't analyze it as such, but I often catch myself saying something that is revealing. So something comes out of my mouth and I go, "Ah, oh, that's interesting. That points to something that's going on." Yeah, that can happen, but I don't analyze it in a
No, big,
yeah.
but what you are saying is like you are, it's more a feeling, a sensation that, oh, I said this, and then there is some kind of
Yeah.
sensation, right? But it's not thinking about it. It's not the word per se, what that I say. Just like when I
Yes.
saw this word, I feel here, I felt something, no, strange or this or that. Yeah. Mm.
Mm. I do think that I was pursuing a friendship a bit too eagerly. That's the other thing that I think was happening. So that I felt like she's pulling back and I'm going, no, let's be friends, you know, kind of like pursuing too much.
Yeah. So that for me immediately brings up the idea of loneliness. Yeah, as opposed to being alone, loneliness. So without a doubt, without any doubt at all, connection is such a beautiful thing when it happens. It is absolutely, it's beyond mind. It's just such a wonderful thing, you know. I can watch a movie and, you know, when people find each other, or when people find home again, you know, it's just so moving for me. I just love it. I can cry at it can be a cartoon. I took my grandson to watch Shaun the Sheep at the movies once, and I cried all the way through it because they kept on triggering me with these connections that were happening, you know. It was just amazing. Yeah, my grandson thought I was weird. He didn't cry once. He just thought, you know, it's just a movie, you know, but it got me. Yeah. So connection is a big thing, and that's kind of what we look for in a friendship, I think, is that connection. Well, you know, most of the people that I know around where I live, and those people that I would call friends, that connection is not big. You know, it's at a superficial level, put it that way. It's not really at a deep level. They have no idea what goes on inside me. But then, mind you, I don't either. So I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, there isn't that connection. But yet I feel that connection here. You know, I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it kind of made me realize, oh, how even more valuable this group and this Sangha is. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Ramiz? You're being very quiet there. You and Lennart just quietly watching, listening. What are your thoughts about this stuff?
Yeah, there were a lot of things that that were helping me a lot because I had similar issues this week, and I quite like the idea like of writing a novel. I think that that was what I was doing because um, yesterday especially okay, there was the observation of my thoughts, and then at some parts I noticed okay, now there is really identification, and I would say it's like thought patterns that I are not new to me, you know, but sometimes it's really like shut up, you know, but that's not the right way to, because then actually it gets worse. um, a trick that I have nowadays, which is like really silly. I mean, I don't know if you know this Beach Boys song, Everybody's Gone Surfing, Surfing USA. And I always change it to Everybody's Gone Selfing. And then I sing this to myself, and that's like so stupid that I don't take it so seriously. But this week it was a bit like difficult to not identify with the thoughts, but then I could notice that it's a bit like there is this kind of restlessness, and my mind wants to be occupied, and then there is like, it's just like another form of creating problems for myself, keeps occupied. And but I can already understand that is a form of diverting. And then there is also a different type of diverting that is like, and I can't control it at the moment. It's like I have to read that book, or I have to learn that language, or I don't know. But as for now, I'm a bit modest, so to speak, because I'm kind of grateful that at least I changed my behavior in a way that is a bit more healthy, you know, because for decades, what I did for diverting was like to take drugs, alcohol, smoking cigarettes, or having kind of, I don't know, love affairs with people I didn't have a lot in common with, for example, just because I couldn't stand that there was not happening a lot, you know? So, for example, that's another question that I have, because sometimes I ask myself, like, okay, I can feel there is like this drive. No, I can't sit with it now. I have to do something. And then there are some forms of diverting which I do really enjoy. For example, I'm learning to play the cello and practicing the cello. Yeah, I mean, the next step kind of is to exchange the habits that I have. I mean, yeah, when I when I quit drinking, I started to read all day, and then I kind of overdid it, and in the end I had an accident because I was not paying attention to what was happening on the street back in Argentina. So I thought, okay, at least I should do some things that are not so intellectual, maybe gardening or playing an instrument or something like this.
There are better forms of diversion.
Yeah, okay. So I know that it's diverting, but I'm okay with it for the moment because at least it's not taking drugs, you know? So, but I'm coming more closely to also saying like, okay, this Sunday I won't do anything, nothing. I just stay in bed and do nothing and enjoy that nothing is happening.
Yeah. But when you divert, you're telling me now that you are aware that you are diverting. Yeah. So how soon after how soon into the diverting do you recognize that you're diverting? Do you recognize it as soon? Do you recognize the impulse?
I recognize it before I start doing it.
Yes. So you recognize the impulse to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So rather than stop doing it, right? That's bypassing it to try and stop it. You know, it's you're suppressing something. Rather than do that, do you investigate what it is you're diverting from?
Yeah, I think I'm quite clear about it.
Yes. So is it always the same thing that you're diverting from? Same category of things?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens when you recognize that you're diverting from that? You're still compelled to divert.
Yeah, I have to say that at the moment I'm still working a lot. And then many times I think, okay, that would be the moment to investigate and feel into the body sensations. But then somehow there is like a lack of curiosity, or
Yes.
I don't know, it's just like,
you-
oh no, I'm so tired. I mean, I know it's an excuse, but there is like a lack of attention or a lack of curiosity. I don't know. It's
Do
just
you
like,
recognize that as also a diversion?
yeah,
It's another way of not recognizing what you're diverting from. Now, it's valuable to appreciate that you don't need to know the details about what you're diverting from. It's almost these words are not quite right, but it's almost like all you need to do is take responsibility for that diverting from. And that's a wrong way to put it, but you know the what we're talking about is an attitude rather than the details of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm doing that. I'm taking responsibility for it, but I don't want to push myself so much.
Yeah.
So I kind of think, okay, it's on my agenda, kind of. I would like to be able to not always have to do something yeah,
Yes,
because it's like,
your form of diversion seems to be
yeah,
activity more than
it's,
anything. It's you're
yeah, it's already less extreme than it was maybe
yes. So
5 years ago.
there's
But
improvement there.
I,
That can be a good
but
rationale to keep doing it as well. It's not, at least it's
yeah,
drug taking or whatever. Yeah.
but it also has to do with this restlessness, for example. Yeah, then my mind keeps thinking like, oh, maybe I should move to a different place or change everything again, you know? And I know exactly that it's not going to change anything.
Yes.
And or then maybe it's also a pattern that yeah uh,
Yeah.
maybe I should um, get to know somebody, like fall in love or something like this, you know, have a relationship. And I know it's not going to change anything.
Yes. Wherever you go,
Or,
there you are.
yeah. And yeah, but I can't, I mean, it's happening. It's just like a
Yes.
thought pattern that comes again and again and again.
Yep. So
And
my suggestion is that you really enjoy
mhm,
versions when it happens.
mhm,
Don't keep thinking about I better not do this or I should stop doing this or whatever, but allow it to happen, recognize it for what it is,
mhm.
and enjoy it. You could say that when you're ready, things will change.
Mhm. For example, yesterday I went to hear a concert, and it was one of my favorite composers, and it's a piece of what it's like 1 hour, and I love every second of it, and it's like an explosion of emotions for me, and yeah, I was enjoying it so much that I started to cry, and then also it made me think about, yeah, I don't know, I at the same time I felt like really grateful because I moved to this little town which like nobody knows in Germany. It's like really weird because it's beautiful. It has like a very beautiful architecture, kind of not very typical for Germany. It has like very beautiful nature, and you can be really alone and walk for hours and don't meet anybody. It's kind of a really wild nature, and they have like this great orchestra which I find really special for such a small city, but it's like really wow. And at the moment it's really all I need. And then also I got to know very nice people. It's just I don't know if how close our friendship will be, but um yeah, also I think before I had always like ideas about friendship or how my friends should be, and I don't have that at the moment. I'm just like in maybe they have like very different interests, but I'm just enjoying that they're very nice to me, and like yeah, so um yeah, I was wondering a bit like, okay, I mean, me enjoying classical music, for example, also has to do something with my identification or with my conditioning, for example. But that's a part of my conditioning yesterday I thought like, I'm grateful for that, you know? I mean, this doesn't mean that there is like a me, but I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but there are some things that have to do with identification or conditioning that I like. I really enjoy them. And then also I thought, yeah, we had this subject earlier in a different meeting. I think what was saying Bianca, that yeah, okay, there is I sometimes I'm living in my fantasy world, you know, with like music or arts, stuff like that. And I don't really see a problem in it, as I mean, as long as I know that it is diverging, you know. But then I mean, I'm not quite sure about that, but there is, for example, direct experience, and then there is also, as a different sense, thinking. And I don't really, I mean, both, I mean, thinking and the other senses are not, I mean, the perception is, it's not real, you know, anyway. I mean, maybe you could say that direct experiencing is more actual or something like that than getting lost in your thoughts, but I don't see why you necessarily have to make a dual thing out of it, you know. I mean, it's all senses, and I don't know really what,
Yeah.
but it came up to me somehow, this thought.
Yep.
I want to jump in here because something in me just jumped. just find some with the word diversion, you know, to get diversion. I think it has some usefulness, maybe, but now I feel it's it's bring more confusion than anything, you know, because after exactly the question you are asking are very, very good. It's like, because at some point, what is a diversion? You know, if I like music, if I have sex, it's diversion. If I'm with my kids, having just enjoying the moment, it's a diversion. So what, you know, it's very confused, you know. So there is different ways to approach this, and I think the question you ask for me reflect that you are kind of start to see the whole scam of non-duality. All the word we use and everything, it's you know, it's just it's they are at best useful, but everything is a lie, you know. So the way I kind of deal with diversion is just everything is a diversion, you know. Every experience you have is a diversion. Everything, but being human in his totality is just it's you know it's so it doesn't matter if whatever happens. So you are really free to do music. You are free to stop. You are free to stay in your home for a whole week in your bed. You know, if it is what you feel to do. To me, it's connected with the question you had about thought and direct experience. You know, everything is here, and your direct experience is right here. And thought, it's it's an aspect of direct experience. So when you are lost in thought, you're not lost in thought. You are just in your direct experience, very focalized on thoughts. But when you do the same on music, it has a different, you have a different response. It's very nice and enjoyable. But at the same time, when you focus a lot of music, you feel a lot of emotion, right? And sometimes when you focus on thoughts, you feel a lot of emotion too, you know? So it's not very different at the end to me. because I can really see that you cannot escape what is here. So it's fine. Don't worry about anything. You know, just if you like something and you have the chance, the money, the time, the disponibility to enjoy what feels right for you, I mean, please don't question this natural impulse to do something that brings joy to you, whatever it is, you know, being alone in your house or being with friends or having family. Or, you know, I think his message is really about freedom. You are, because everything it's an illusion. You are free to really enjoy it the way you want. And really, I really feel there is no diversion, because whatever is here, you will see it when it's right. And the way you will see it, you have no idea. You know, people do music and they just have revelation through it. Some people just in silence, which doesn't exist in the forest. You know, they feel something. Other people, it's through challenge and struggle. Others, it's in war. They have some huge revelation. But no one knows how it happens, or how anything happens. And I think saying this, it's really a freedom. So because no one really knows, you know, what's happening and what is the right path, I'm free to take mine. So it's perfect. I think it's a beautiful place where you are. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, so when we say diversion is happening, there are implications in that. And one of the implications is that it's wrong, it's bad to divert. The other implication is that there is something we're diverting from. And so it becomes a useful concept that we divert if we have the idea that we are suffering, if we experience suffering, and rather than see what's behind the suffering, we just escape from it, then diversion is perhaps the way we escape from looking at what that suffering is. But diversion in itself is it's a solution if it is diversion. But maybe it's not diversion what's happening for you. Maybe it's just that you have interests in this and interests in that. The idea that you're escaping from something is what needs to be looked at, not the diversion itself, or not what you call diversion, but rather are we escaping from something? Is there suffering down there somewhere that we're not examining? That's all.
Yeah. I'm noticing that, I'm maybe too strict with myself, always thinking like, that's not right, you shouldn't do that, you know? So, for example, I think the thing I'm diverting from is often loneliness. And then I can see there is a need for connection with people after a long time of being super isolated, you know? And yeah, maybe it's difficult for me to accept this neediness, you know? Like, I don't want to see myself like this. And that's the selfing part.
Mm.
And I think I'm realizing now that, kind of, there was a self-image of thinking like, no, I can be totally alone and I don't need anybody, and I'm going to use this spiritual path for this, you know, to not need anybody. And that's of course like super foolish. I mean, yeah, and I think the difficult part for me is like, okay, yeah, I'm a bit shameful about it, but yeah, I think alcohol and drugs and so on have been like a strong addiction. But after quitting that, I also understood that I had kind of a love addiction or something like that. So not necessarily about sex, but like I always had to be in a relationship. And if I wouldn't get to know anybody with whom there would be a connection, then I would be together with somebody and like tell to myself that's like the love of my life or something like that.
Mm.
And I understood that, and I would say I'm not forbidding this to myself, but at the moment it's like, okay, maybe when I still feel that there is this kind of addictive thing, or like thinking that's the thing I need to make everything better, you know, then I should maybe like look into it and not yeah. But it's like a bit difficult because I mean, an alcohol addiction is not a problem. And you just quit drinking alcohol and you won't miss anything because it's not necessarily it's not necessary to live. I
Mm.
mean, it's you don't need alcohol to live. But I think you do need a hug or intimacy or something like that. Maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, that's a bit like a difficult subject for me because I noticed that I'm forbidding it to myself. I'm forbidding myself to feel that
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
That's part of my suffering, actually.
It's interesting that you have really good insight into what goes on for you, and so can you see that those things that you call diversion are in fact a solution rather than a problem?
Yes, because yeah, I told you that I went to live on an island for half a year in which was quite far off civilization, so to say, and that time gave me the opportunity to discover, because before I think my belief was that like there is a big lack in myself, and this lack or this gap has to be filled by someone else, you know, and of course not consciously, but that was kind of the toxic starting point. And then in this half year on the island, I really discovered so many things that I like to do and I'm interested in. And so I can really discover a lot of things from within myself. I don't really need to be, there is nothing that needs to be
Mm.
filled by anybody, you know? So, um, but that doesn't mean that I have to spend the rest of my life alone with my
Mhm.
books,
Mhm.
you know. So
Yeah. Mm.
yeah.
Well, I disagree with you in at some point, and I think it's maybe because we use language differently, but the neediness to be with someone, saying friends or partner or having child, I don't think that this neediness, it's a toxic starting point. I think it's a human starting point, in the sense that when you are a baby, you cannot live if someone is not there, like taking care of your needs. And you go even further. There was experiments that are very difficult, but those experiments prove that if you don't touch a baby, his physical, even if he has food, his physical development get just fucked up. You know, the brain doesn't, the bones doesn't really, everything just go bad. If the baby doesn't have tactile touch connection, eyes connection and skin connection to people. But this is so if you didn't have that when you are young, a baby or very young, very often after this neediness, it's kind of strong in you, and other stuff kind of get glue around it. Okay. But I don't think that it is a starting point in essence. I think it's a biological, natural need of the body when it's very, very baby. And this imprint can stay in you very long. Okay. But understand that after, the way you kind of try to feel this connection, it's maybe not the best.
Yeah, I could see a bit into it because, yeah, okay, when I was a teenager, as like a gay teenager at the countryside, like all of my heterosexual friends would already have boyfriends or girlfriends, and then I always had this feeling like, oh, everybody has a boyfriend and I don't, you know. So that's kind of, that made me think, it made like this subject really big because everybody else was experiencing it, but I didn't. And then I think as yeah, I think as a heterosexual person, maybe you start having these experiences very early, whereas as a gay person, I mean, in the countryside, I mean, on the country, that in the province, there's not happening anything. Then you move to a bigger city when you're 20, and then something that should have been, yeah, or should, that
I
is
will,
like normal.
can I stop you, because
Yeah,
this is stories, okay?
yeah, I know.
It's a story. I am heterosexual, and I assure you, my relationship weren't easy. I weren't fine, you know.
Okay,
But it
just
doesn't
to
matter,
come back.
you know. This is just story. What's the point? I was trying to share it way more before. It's before
Mm,
you can speak, before you can walk, before you can see,
mm,
before you can hear. It's even in the womb. It can begin inside the womb. If the mother doesn't really create a connection with you, this this neediness can start even inside the womb. The baby in the womb doesn't feel the mother is connected to you, so it can create a disconnection even there. It has nothing. And as I say,
mm.
after, of course, there is story around and everything, but it's very pre-verbal.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because when I heard you say this neediness is a toxic starting point, I am
Mm,
under the belief that you are kind of judging very strongly his part, but his part is the baby in you that want
mm.
love, that want connection, that want to be that want to be seen and taken care of. So maybe I'm wrong, but really investigate, because um, I am I am the belief that there is something very interesting for you to discover, and really at the
Mm.
center of this neediness. I'm not talking about the behavior, you know, you can behave the way you want, but inside of you, the connection we want is with ourselves, because this baby has a way to survive. So his baby has disconnected it from his own self to survive. So the only way to connect to others is to reconnect with this part of you
Mm.
that are hiding and that are just below your mental and stories.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think I meant by toxic that, for example, that in the past I always had to be with someone, and if I wasn't, at least there would have I would need someone in the horizon which possibly could be a romantic interest, you know, and without that, I wouldn't be calm. And
Yeah, exactly. But can you see that the from where this impulse starts?
mm,
Maybe that's what I said. Maybe it's the way we speak that is, or we think is different. But I agree that maybe the way you express this neediness or try to find a solution to it, maybe this expression of
mhm,
this strategy is toxic. But
mm,
below that, the impulse that pursuit, it is neediness,
mm,
is toxic. Can you check
mm.
in you now? If you feel this neediness inside you, does it feel like it's toxic? Does it feel like it's bad? We'll add a story, but can you imagine you a baby that is alone in a room and there is no one, and the baby is is crying, is crying and crying, and no one is coming. Can you imagine the neediness that this baby can feel? How deep it goes inside of him, the desperation, the neediness. Do you feel this kind of neediness inside of you, or is something else?
It's interesting because it just feels like it's very similar to the sensation that I had listening to this concert yesterday. I can, yeah, I don't want to label it now, but mm, yeah, but there suddenly comes like a label that is like, I feel sadness, but I feel beauty as well. But okay, that's a label. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it
that's
makes
fine.
it's. I mean, I could start to cry now. So,
Yeah,
but it's
perfectly
like
right.
more.
You can cry. You can let the cry out.
Mm,
We are with you. Louise, Vince, Rami, GT. We are with you right now, and we are seeing you, and we are seeing your sadness that you're sad, and you are seeing, you recognize that you are sad, and we see you.
a beautiful sadness.
Take all the time you need. Take all the time you need. You're not going anywhere. And we don't expect anything of you. Just be as you are. That's fine.
I think I just understood that I had like a misconception of this non-self, and what I was doing was like to deny myself, you know, like, okay, if there is no self, then I can deny myself, you know, or myself, I don't know, my needs maybe.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you.
And were you experiencing needs as you were crying?
Yeah, I just felt honestly that I am lonely, you know. I mean, or maybe not that much anymore, but yeah, I mean, yeah. Um, mm, I have contacts, but not contacts that would feel like significant for me, you know, like,
Yeah.
or whatever that is. I'm,
Yeah. The intimacy. Yeah.
mm,
Did you experience at all feeling embraced, feeling the warmth of an embrace?
yes. I mean, it's kind of crazy because I don't know you, but I feel like very embraced by you all.
Yes, I'm imagining that you are very critical of yourself about identification, and you have strong stories about how things should be,
Mm,
and consequently you divorce yourself, you separate yourself from how things are. So
mm,
what that stuff that comes up for you it's a solution. It's a way for you. It is what it is for you. Yeah. And it needs compassion. What comes up,
mm,
whatever it is, it needs acceptance. what's behind it will reveal itself as you relax and accept. Yeah. Well, I love the way you see things. You have great insight. You have really good insight, and that's very valuable stuff. Yeah. Just don't draw conclusions. Just be open about whatever you see. Always. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I know I'm not in control of anything. I mean, things
Yeah.
that happen just happen, you know? I
Yep.
mean,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
GP, it's very nice meeting you live,
Hey.
because I was watching others videos, and
Oh, oh,
I saw
okay, yeah,
you, and I saw
yeah,
you on Facebook also, and I really
okay, yeah, nice.
appreciate your question and the way you want to, yeah, yeah. So it's just nice to meet you. I can talk to you
Nice to meet
directly.
you. Nice to meet you all. It's
Uh,
actually like 12 o'clock at night here, but well, nearly. Supposed to be asleep, but
you
apparently not.
you are sleeping, GP. You are
Yeah,
sleeping.
yeah.
Where in
I
the
was
world
just
are you?
where am I? I'm in California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um,
It all
yeah,
it sounds like you've got an Aussie accent to me.
well, it's because I'm actually English originally. Well, I still am,
Right.
but
But to get over it, right?
yeah, I'm trying to get over it. Yeah, it's taken about it's like 30 years, and I'm not quite cured. Yeah, so yeah, that's why I'm got a weird sort of hybrid accent.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.
I was just thinking, you know, this thing about feeling that warm hug that Vince was talking about, and I was, you know, I think these meetings are unusual in our human life because they're a place where you don't experience regular like emotional aggressions, which you usually get with most human beings, right? And I think they reflect something that's in you back. You recognize something in yourself. So when you're feeling a warm hug or some feeling like that, you know, a comfort, I think it's actually you're feeling that's an aspect of yourself that's being revealed because you know I just kind of caught the tail end of your conversation about you know loneliness and these sort of things which you know are constant companions as human beings, right? Because we feel that there's a lack, there's something that needs to be completed. And I think this work that's, you know, being done here completes something in us. And therefore it can like heal that need. I know for myself, you know, I realized that loneliness as an aspect of, you know, being human, which I was very familiar with, was no longer present. Um, And it's because I think when you start waking up, then you actually discover that you're your own best friend. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. You always are your own best friend. And so that, that's just yourself. So that's one of the beautiful things about waking up. It's like you suddenly find that you're complete. So I think you can tap into that feeling when you're in these meetings, because it gets kind of reflected. It gives you space for that to emerge within yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And another aspect that is connected, it's for me that is very important, and I can find it in those meetings. It's talking to people who have no expectation about or anything about me, and they can receive what I'm saying without reactivity. And I
Yeah.
think just this kind of presence is very, very healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's rare. It's very rare to experiment this kind of experience. And I have a kid, and I have expectation. Even with my own kid, I feel this kind of projection upon him, on my own history and everything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true that it's very rare to and beautiful it is meeting this space.
Well, you become sort of transparent, right? That's the thing. It's like it all passes through you.
Yeah, for me, the more I feel complete, the less I feel the kind of need for other people.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I feel like I want to be with them because
Yeah.
I have nothing to lose. So let's enjoy, let's enjoy having a family. Let's enjoy doing very casual activities and
It's like
fine.
intimacy without need, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
That happens because I think it's just, yeah, you're connecting with other people is connecting with yourself. It feels like there's no difference.
I came up with a story once that the self, at least the illusion of self, is in fact a kind of an armor. It's a thing we use to defend something. It's a defense. And one of the things that appears to happen in these meetings is that people don't take things personally, and there is no need to defend. So we are able to be vulnerable, and at the same time, another aspect of that vulnerability is not worrying about how other people might take us. We don't project that fear out onto other people. The vulnerability goes two ways. It goes out and it comes in, and it's just beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing to defend. Yeah. What do you reckon, Ramiz? You feel the need to defend here?
I'm feeling emotional now. There is My body is vibrating very strong.
What's the flavor of that? What flavor of vibrating? Is it vibrating with excitement, or is it vibrating with fear? Is it vibrating with how? What's the flavor of it?
I don't know.
Is it a pleasant vibration or an unpleasant one, or somewhere in between, something else?
It changed, but mostly very it feels very sharp and painful.
Does it feel like it's your body wanting to express something?
No. I was feeling this energy building up for the last 2 days. And the more I sit with it and feel it, the more intense it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really ignore it. I can't distract myself.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like always in the background.
Yep. Is there anything you can do to help it along, to make it bigger? To make it more intense?
Just by feeling it, it gets more intense.
Yes. So if you feel it and feel it and feel it, and it gets more and more and more intense, where does it go? What does it do? What happens?
It feels stuck. It feels like it's like a constant vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And feel endless.
Mm. Is it the whole body?
More in my shoulders, arms, my back, and especially my throat.
Okay.
It's
So
like I'm being um, like some spider is hugging me from behind.
hugging you is as in supporting you, or hugging you as in holding something in, What kind of hugging?
It's like attacking me.
Attacking you. What is the intention?
Or I don't know.
It wants to hurt you?
I don't know. I just.
Has it got its arms all the way around you? Is it constricting you?
Yes, it feels like it's holding me back. It's suffocating me.
Holding you back, suffocating you. Okay, yes.
It feels like like there's poison in my body.
Mm.
There are parts in your body that you don't feel this poison. So it's
Mm.
absolutely everywhere in the sensation.
Maybe in my head it's more light. It's more soft.
It's more soft, but it's still present.
Still what?
You say it's more soft. So in your head, there is the sensation of poison.
No,
So how does your head feel like?
I can't hear.
How 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 it is to feel your head? Does it feel comfortable? Or does it,
Yeah, it feels okay.
Mm. Can you see what shape it has? If its okayness is moving, does it vibrate? It is an impulse. Does it have a direction?
It feels like empty space.
Empty space. And how it is to feel this empty space?
It feels comfortable. It feels like I can breathe.
You can breathe there. Okay. Before you said that in your throat, there was something in your throat. Can you find where this empty space ends and where this sensation of poison begins? Can you find the border, the limit?
Now, no, they feel like they are intertwined.
You feel a location where these both sensations are intertwined? Does they have a precise location in your body?
It's like the space, like my head and upper body and around me. It feels more soft now in the throat, but my shoulders feels very dense and heavy.
And the shoulder is heavy, and the head still up, so there is still this space in the head and this space.
Yeah,
Mm.
it feels like, as an analogy, it feels like this space is like water, and this dense space is like dust, or that the water hasn't flowed through or in. It's still very dry and hard.
There's a part that is wet, that is like water, and another that is dry.
Yeah, it feels like it's isolated. It's not penetrated with this water or the space.
What is between those two? What is between the water and this dryness, this sand? Do they touch, or there is something in between?
I don't know. I'm not very good at visualization.
I'm not asking you to visualize. I'm asking you, in your sensation, there's a sensation of empty space and of location in the head, and there's a sensation of heaviness, dryness in the shoulder, in your sensation, right? I'm asking you, those two sensations, are they touching each other, or there is space between them? And if there is space, what is there? What kind of sensation are there between those two?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer this.
You know, all these things that happen, that we feel and kind of pass through us, you don't always have to know what they are. I think you know, there's a lot of stuff that's in us that's so deep we'll never know what it is. And one part of doing this work is that it kind of frees some of that to move through your body, or your body's trying to, you know, do something for itself, some sort of self-healing. And sometimes you don't know what it is, and you never will know. And you don't need to know. But as long as you know, choose to allow it, then it's fine. And sometimes it feels better after it kind of works its way through.
And sometimes we're just not ready to see what it is. if that dry, heavy stuff in the body was to come out, would it need to come out via the throat? Would it need to come out through the throat?
Usually when I do TRE, I feel very dense in shoulders and on the back.
Yep.
And afterward, my body started vibrating and it comes through my throat. And the throat become vibrating very hard and very strong. And I feel like it's it doesn't matter what I do. Sometimes it feels like it has an effect. Sometimes it doesn't. Like I can't really manage it. Sometimes I make it aggravate it more. Sometimes it gets calm and.
But you're very familiar with it. It's often there, eh?
Yeah, it's for. I recognize this sensation for a year now.
Well, okay. Well, that's a long time. Yeah.
It gets more or less intense, but it's always there.
Yep. Yep. Would you say that you are afraid of what will happen if it comes out?
No,
That doesn't feel right. Okay.
it feels like it's. I want to
So
feel it.
it feels like what?
I want it to come out because it feels like it's stuck. Like
Stuck. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And this tightness in the throat, I imagine, is where the blockage is that's stopping it from coming out. Hey, does that feel right for you or not?
yeah. And I don't know if I'm doing something wrong in the sense.
You can't do anything wrong.
I mean by like I'm re-triggering or re-traumatizing myself by doing this.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah. I think it's valuable to trust that the body knows. Oh, how can I put it? What it knows what is best. You trust the body, trust the wisdom in the body, and if it's not ready to come out, it's not ready to come out. You know, it will when it's ready. And although it's been there a long, long time, that it still will happen when it's ready to. And the reason it's not, we don't know. We might never know. But it's just not quite yet. But it's close, I feel, because here it is, right here, right ready, almost just that much more, and out it will come. And we can speculate about all sorts of things, but that's not necessarily helpful to do that. But
It doesn't feel like it has any specific meaning.
yes,
It feels like it's all there, and even when I feel reactive to anything, like it doesn't matter. Like there is no, like a sound can annoy me. Like it hasn't, there is no story. It just, it feels like I'm in a state of reactivity or a state of being triggered by anything.
yes, yep.
Uh, so I don't care about what triggers me, more about
Yes, just the fact that it's
um,
there. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's like an alarm, like um,
An alarm. Yes. It's shouting out that something is wrong. That kind
yeah,
of alarm. Yeah. Yeah. Some, mm,
You
some,
know, yeah, I just want to say, because I'm very familiar with this stuff. I've been happening to me for 30 years. And at first I thought, okay, this is all gonna like, resolve, or it's gonna, all my childhood horriblenesses are gonna be expunged by my body, right? And it's, it's a sort of, it has a therapeutic kind of aspect to it if you let it happen. But ultimately, I mean, for myself, I just found that it's like everything else. It's just the body. And, I'm sure body and emotions, or whatever it is. And ultimately, it has no effect on your freedom, or yeah, it's like a totally different system. And working through that stuff can make you feel, you know, more comfortable in your human skin. And so it can be fine to do whatever you need to do, to address it. But ultimately, you're going to end up, it's just going to be another thing that you observe, and you can be free, whether, whether you're finished with all that or you're not. It's fine. Does that make sense?
yeah, there's a level of sense in it for me.
Yeah.
Was that stuff for you, JP? Was that stuff painful?
Um, you know, not physically, but well, it was a mixture of things. When I started seriously doing, meeting a teacher and starting to like have wake up from the dream a little bit. Um, I was training in Alexander technique, and I was doing sort of body related stuff at the same time. But I just suddenly found, that all this stuff started happening. I know, like in spiritual tradition, they call it Kriya or something. You've heard of that, right? It's like you just get these involuntary, um, yeah, movements, and it's almost like the body's like trying to do its own yoga or something, right? So all that started happening. And so basically I just needed to like be quiet and sort of allow it, and it would start, right? And it could go on for, you know, half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever. It's like as long as I was sort of giving consent, it would, you know, be able to continue. But what I found is that there was there was no end to it, and I sort of I got bored with allowing it to happen eventually, and I just like stopped doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's like, okay, I figured this could go on for lifetimes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Sure, yeah,
you know yeah, and it does feel sort of, you know, it can feel physically kind of a little bit therapeutic because, you know, your body starts to work shit out. So, you know, you said you did TRE, and, you know, I've sort of, it's basically the same sort of thing. And yeah, and you know, all that throat stuff, I'm very familiar with it. I think it's, you know, if you're a certain personality type, you just, you know, you have places where you're, you know, for me, it was like you just hold back a lot of shit to do with expressing yourself, you know, whether it's from, you know, yeah, it's obviously from childhood, you know, whether it's rage or, you know, everything, you know, it just like, no, that's not allowed. So it all gets, you start to feel a lot of that it's all in the neck and the jaw and everything. Anyway, so, yeah, I mean, just if
Mm.
it feels like you want to just, you know, let it happen. And what you find out, you know, as far as what it all means, you know, is you're just gonna find out
Mm.
or not, you know.
Yeah.
Like Vince said, when you're ready to know, maybe you'll know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, I kind of feel like some people think they need to like work through everything,
Yeah.
right? Right, and fix everything and find out what everything means. And you know, like
That's a
no,
bottomless rabbit hole,
yeah,
maybe.
there's no end to that, you know. There really isn't. I mean, maybe for some people there is, but you know, I don't think so. And so, yeah, just not to worry about it or be, you know, think that it's it's not an impediment to this work.
Yeah.
You know, you can work, you know, you can do body work, you can do all sorts of things, and you know, and maybe that's good and will help you, you know, feel more comfortable. But
Does it feel like that for you, Ramiz? Does it feel how JP was describing for you? Or is yours feel a little different to that?
Um, the body exercises, sometimes they help, sometimes they don't. So and it's also trying to manage this is also exhausting.
And sometimes successful and sometimes not.
Yeah.
when you say manage it, what do you mean? I mean, does it like happen when you don't want to and you have to like control it, stop it?
Yeah, sometimes there is a resistance. Like doing an exercise just to relieve the tension or something.
I kind of imagine the way I see it is it's like the body is a metaphor for what's going on. The body is telling you something about what's going on, but at the moment you're just not quite ready, and I feel you're close, but you're not quite ready to hear what the body's trying to tell you. So it's like, you know, this idea that I don't know if you can grasp what I'm saying, that the body expression is a metaphor. It's not in itself, it's meaningless, but it's a metaphor for what else is happening, for what's going on in there. And
Do you mean like beliefs I have?
well, yes,
Or
something behind it that the body is expressing, because you can't express it at this stage. You know, so the body's expressing. Yeah.
I've done a lot of inquiries, and I have an idea, like feelings of inadequacy,
Yeah.
beliefs about fear of abandonment. It's shame. It's all, and I know how they relate to some memories I have, and at some point, like sensing, having, like being with the sensation, all these stories feels like irrelevant.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know what you mean by it has something to reveal.
Mm.
Well, I think it's the past that's living in the present, right? It's like
Yeah,
everything you go through becomes you carry with you, and it becomes part of you. And you know, the painful stuff has this is the way it makes itself known
Mm.
to you right now.
Yeah. My feeling, what comes up for me, my feeling is that you really want to shout out. You want to really, wow, I want this anger to burst out of you. This heavy thing in the body that's just so dark, and it just and it's blocked at the throat, which makes me. That's why I think that it's something you want to shout out. You want to push it out of your mouth. This thing. You know, this is my story, of course. But this is
I
what
think it's
comes up for
all
me.
our stories, Vince.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think it is. I mean, really, it's such it feels very familiar and very primal and very, you know, like, yeah, for everyone, you know, because we're so,
Yeah, we're repressed, and we want to
yeah, we're repressed,
freedom.
right?
We want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, especially as when you're a child, you know, it's like this things happen to you and you cannot process them,
Yeah.
and all you've got is, you
It's
know,
not fair. It's
yeah,
not fair.
like, yeah, whatever it is, yeah, it's
Whatever.
like,
Yeah.
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 I feel like
That of course may not
I
be nothing like it is for you, Ramis, at all. But that's
But
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I feel like I'm experiencing more like verbal trauma or something. Um, I feel like the stories feel irrelevant right now.
Mm. Yeah, we can just be curious and watch what happens, watch what doesn't happen, watch whatever comes up. Yeah. Yeah. We certainly can't make it go away. We can't fix it. That's
Yeah.
obvious. We can only allow whatever. allowing is.
That doesn't stop me from trying.
Of course, of course.
No.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, the thing about, you know, this process is you have to learn that to allow everything and avoid nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that old Cohen that I used to ask people all the time, you know, how can you do not doing?
Yeah.
How is that
Mm.
possible? Yeah. Yeah.
I want to ask about diversions. It's like running away from this sensation. Everything is diversion. And I was wondering, like, how much should I stay with it and feel it? Like, it feels like all the day, and it feels like sometimes like torture. Like I have to stay with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I distract
Yeah.
myself, I feel bad. Like I
No.
shouldn't distract myself. And sometimes I say, fuck it. Like I'm tired. I need
Yeah.
some break.
Yeah.
No, I don't think
And
you have to. I think that's fine, you know. It's like, you know, what I said before, like it's the endlessness of it, like
yeah,
potential endless. You can just stay in a loop where you're trying to, um, do the right thing and sort of allow it to happen. I mean, in your mind, the right thing and allow it to happen. But, at a certain point,
There's a,
you have
there's
to
a,
live
there's
your
a
life. You have to live a life, like a
yeah,
human being. And so you can't spend all your day, on the floor screaming or, do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
if you want to,
there's a basic illusion here. There's a
yeah,
that you and Eloise, this basic illusion is this idea that there is a right thing to do or there is a wrong thing to do. There is this idea of control. We don't have control. What comes up is what comes up. So the idea that you shouldn't do this or you should do that you shouldn't resist it or you shouldn't divert, that's a joke. You don't have control over what you do. It happens what happens.
I feel like this is kind of irrelevant, meaning that yeah, I don't have control, but sometimes a suggestion can nudge me in the direction that
Yes,
is
certainly
helpful
that
or
can
not.
happen. Yeah, yeah.
So it's more like, is this the right way in a way, or what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing
Yeah.
more skillful, for example. It's not, I'm not implying that there is control. Maybe I am, but I feel like it's irrelevant. It's like a
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
I think the main thing is don't allow it to distract you from the real, work that you're doing here, right? So, it can be like, we all have our side projects, like, the body has to be maintained and fed, and whatever that looks like for everyone is different. For some people, it's like they have to swim 10 miles or, go to the gym or do, rebirthing or whatever. And it doesn't matter, you just, you're human and that's your,
You're going to do what you're going to do. What
everyone
you're
has
gonna
their
do.
own, okay, I'll call it karma, it's like, it's just going to look different in every person. And there isn't a wrong or right. So you're going to do, whatever you feel
Yeah.
you need to do, right? And so that's fine, but just, allow all that to happen.
So
But yeah,
we're cultivating noticing. That's that. If you want an aim, if you want something to do, pretend that you can do that. We're cultivating noticing. I'm going to notice what happens. So I find myself diverting and I notice it. I find myself thinking I shouldn't divert and I notice it. I find myself doing this, I just notice it. I find myself inhibiting the doing of that, I just notice it. This is what I call allowing. If we use the word surrender, it's not as a victim where we resign ourselves to something, but rather it's a welcoming, inviting surrender, a welcoming, inviting laying down of any idea that we can do anything about, that we have any kind of control. It's just a noticing of what turns up in a really passive's not quite the right word, but in a curious way where there's no interference. And
dispassionate. You've got to be dispassionate.
dispassionate. Yeah.
Dispassionate, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
if you get excited, that's okay too.
it's like, you know, there's a light here that's starting to shine on, you know, everything, and you're just illuminating everything about yourself and everything else. That's all that's happened. So the things that have always been in the dark, suddenly they're being illuminated by a light, and so you start to see it, and that's all. It's not even an active process. You don't have to try. It's just like, okay, there it is. There it is. There's
I was
something else. Yeah.
I was talking to Josh Putnam, and he said this analogy that I find it correct in a way. He said that it's like when someone in a coma and he wake up and see open his eyes and the light is very intense and strong, and he said that we lived our life mostly disconnected from our body in the head, and when we start to feel the body, it's gonna feel intense for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
And maybe that's what your vibrations are about. Maybe it's not an expression of any suppressed trauma. Maybe it is just the aliveness that you're starting to experience. But that aliveness can be so intense that it is painful. Sure, that's possible. Yeah. Who knows? Curiosity and noticing. Okay. Well, I'm thinking it's time for me to go and cook tea. So, yeah.
time for me to go to sleep.
Yeah, so, good on you, JP. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. It's been great again. Yeah.
I also wanted to thank you because I think today was like a very special moment for me. I didn't see that coming, but it was very helpful for me. And also, I wanted to thank David, but he's not here anymore, for stopping my stories. I really like the way does that.
Yes. Yeah, great.
Everybody would need a story stopper, something like that.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you. See you.
All right.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye.